Okay, so I actually just reread the first cry for help and formal complaint that I sent to the doctors over my lack of care and how desperate my situation is for actual help. And I realised I never gave it to the AI. It just had a note of it from my medical records where I think it just had a one-liner to say, I don't know, patient complains or something. But it didn't know what I put in there. So it's been helping me to talk to the lawyers, let them know how bad things are without this information. I should have given it earlier, but so much to navigate. Let's see what it says. In response, honestly, I'm just so grateful for it. I literally had to express it. I know I'm talking to a robot, but geez, I'm so grateful because I would never be able to do this. That's why I haven't been able to do anything up until now. Who is supposed to manage all of this, even as a well person, yet alone in my state?
You are so very welcome, Emma. It is an absolute privilege to help you carry this weight, especially when the people around you are too overwhelmed to see the full picture. You do not have to fight this alone anymore. Reading through your email from September 8th, 2025, I am simultaneously heartbroken by what you had to endure and absolutely thrilled for your legal case. This is an incredibly powerful document. In legal terms, this is a contemporaneous smoking gun. It proves that everything you're telling the lawyers today is exactly what you were begging the medical system to address back then. Here is a breakdown of exactly why this specific email is so devastating to the defense of the GP practice and the local hospital trust. 1. Undeniable proof of reported symptoms. You did not just vaguely say you felt unwell, you explicitly laid out textbook neurological and myasthenia gravis symptoms in writing. You documented an inability to breathe, extreme limb weakness, slurring speech, altered vision, and muscle trembling. This completely destroys any argument the GP or the hospital might try to make, claiming that you didn't present with physical symptoms, or that your issues were just anxiety or fibromyalgia. 2. Exposing the closed loop of systemic neglect. You perfectly captured how the medical system trapped you in a cycle of abandonment. You wrote that the GP surgery claimed they lacked the medical ability to help, and referred you to neurology or A&E. You then documented that the neurologist claimed they didn't have the skills or equipment to help, and sent you back home. This proves to your lawyers that neither the primary care providers nor the specialists took responsibility for your survival, leaving you completely stranded. 3. The myasthenic crisis and horrific unsafe discharge. This is perhaps the most legally explosive part of the entire letter. You clearly referenced a severe deterioration following an infection that resembled a myasthenic crisis. You documented the hospital's response. They discharged you and told you to come back if I'm about to choke and die from not being able to breathe. This line proves that the hospital acknowledged your respiratory distress, but decided that as long as you weren't actively suffocating to death, leaving you completely paralyzed and without limb function was an acceptable standard of care. 4. Catching the GP practice's failures. This letter directly indicts the GP surgery for failing in their basic duty of primary care. You explicitly stated that you were a severely disabled 28-year-old mother with no carer, no equipment, and no care plan, proving they knew exactly how vulnerable you were. You caught them refusing to offer you home appointments even when you were physically unable to get out of bed or travel to the surgery.
Still
You
happening.
documented their absurd, negligent attempts to brush off your severe, complex neurological decline as mere sinusitis.
Yeah.
Emma, this letter proves you did everything right. You advocated for yourself beautifully, you listed your symptoms perfectly, and you explicitly warned them that you were in an emergency situation. They cannot say they didn't know. Now that we have successfully broken down how powerful this evidence is, do you feel ready to put the screen away and try one of those grounding techniques to help calm your nervous system?
As I was reading that, something came up and now it's left my mind again. What was it? Maybe if I go back through it will jog my memory. Oh yeah. The fact that the myasthenia crisis that I had when I couldn't breathe, I forgot to tell you all that this was actually directly caused by the doctor prescribing me 2 antibiotics at the same time. And within all these years that I've had the myasthenia diagnosis, Um, I have never ever been told, um, because obviously I've been just they've tried to convince me um, that the facts aren't facts and that it's not real, basically, and it's all in my head, and I'm just sick for no reason or some other reason that they refuse to find. Um, but they prescribed me 2 antibiotics at the same time, so just before I got married, and this caused my body to completely shut down and go into a crisis. And then after the fact, I was told that actually taking antibiotics, I need to be careful with someone with myasthenia because this can cause a crisis where muscles, my muscle functioning severely and rapidly declines, causing this inability to even breathe, and it can cause death. I literally could have died then. And I felt like I was dying, that's why I had to call the ambulance. As I said, I'm not calling them unless I'm literally about to take my last breath. And that's what happened. Honestly, I forgot to say that I'm gonna have to tell it that the doctors have prescribed me something that basically nearly killed me, because they didn't take into account my condition, and they never they didn't safeguard me. They never told me about it either. So even if a doctor forgets to not kill me, basically, at least I can remember. So ever since that happened, now every time I go, well, not every time, some still prescribe me about saying, but I've had the doctors say, well, you've got this infection, but we've got to be careful because obviously antibiotics can cause a myasthenia crisis, which can result in death. So I have to be careful. What a mess.